right, guys. It's on to Kentucky for us. Our guys are fired up, got work done yesterday, and a bunch of them came in. And I think when you see our guys, you realize how invested they are when they hurt. It's good when guys hurt because you hurt relative to how invested you are in something. So I know our guys will have good energy today for a really, it's always the most physical game when we play these guys. I think because philosophically they believe in running the ball, we believe in running the ball. Those two things hit head-to-head when we play them. We've had head-to-head battles many times with these guys, and Coach Stoops' teams are always physical, so we know it'll be physical, and it'll also be a very different time start for our group and really for them too, because we both played late games last week. So looking forward to getting ready for these guys.
Yeah, Kirby, going back to Saturday, the fourth down play with Cash, was there any discussion on the headset about asking for a review for the play before it looked like Gunner got close to the line of the game?
Yeah, the only decision on that is they buzz down. They control that, and every team in the conference so far that's had tempo plays, they've had plays buzz down when they want to review it. You know, they look at it fast and quick. It happened in a South Carolina game. It happened in our game that night. It happened earlier where they buzzed down. We were trying to go tempo and would have scored, but there's no thought of trying to wait on somebody to do that, not when we feel like that's the most important play that we have in terms of execution.
Yeah, Talon and Ellis had some tough plays on Saturday night in their first real big home games. For young players as a coach, how do you go about, not letting them think that those mistakes are the end of the world and getting them to keep growing and keep getting better, even in a big game like that?
Yeah, you show confidence in them. You love on them. You discipline them. You grow them. You try to get them better. Both those guys are talented players. Ellis had some really good plays in the game as well. So Talon's deal was tough, but Talon will grow from it. He's a tough, competitive kid. He practices his butt off. People don't give him enough credit for he's changed our punt team in terms of he's replaced an Arian and a Dom as a gunner and been really elite. And he's every time we've called his number, he's answered it, and he's going to continue to do that. I mean, the guy's a worker. I told him that look, we're going to come back at you and continue to use you and just keep getting better. That's all you can do. Keep getting better. Block out the outside noise. I mean, I don't even know what's being said out there because I've literally just shut it off. But both those kids are talented kids who are going to be good football players here.
Yeah, you mentioned guys being hurt in the wake of the loss. Just what has the response been over the past couple of days, and is it different with a team that you've said a lot is pretty young versus a team like last year that had so many veterans on it?
No, hurting is hurting. It doesn't matter what age you are. The more invested you are, the more you hurt. My question is, what are you going to double down on? It's a different day and age of college football. Like, it's completely different out there. We've accepted it as coaches. We have to do a good job of the players responding to it. And, what do you double down on? I know more about my team right now than I did a week ago. I can guarantee you that. And that's what fires me up. And I got a lot of optimism after that game because I learned a hell of a lot more about my team than I had the previous weeks.
Kirby talked about managing the players. One thing. What about the staff after a game like that? Looking at your post game, you mentioned how the coaches have to do a better job. The first quarters that you've had in the two SEC contests, what was Sunday like? I know there's Sunday review, but is there a different tone or is there an approach you take with your staff?
No, our staff's been great. I think we've put together some really good game plans. I don't know that we've executed them all the time well, and there's a line between execution responsibility, me, coaches, players, everybody's involved in that. But, I mean, the same calls that we called in the first half, we called in the second half, and we got some stops, and we made some plays. And it's not about just calls. It's about execution, putting people in good position. And, sometimes it's playing with confidence, and we got to do a better job doing that.
Kirby, with DeMello Jones, how did he, how do you evaluate how he did when you watched film? And with Daniel Harris, what's going to take for him to get back in the rotation, you think?
It's not any different for any position, right? Like, the guys that practice and play the best play. That's the system we've installed here, and that's not going to change. That's true. Right tackle, left tackle, receiver, D tackle, linebacker. Best guys are going to play, and the guys that practice best get to play.
With DeMello, what did you see from watch film?
He did some good things. He, as the game went on, he got his hands on people and was able to play. Had some contested I won't call them contested catches, some contested breakups that were big in terms of gaining confidence and strength. He tackled a couple times well and showed up on crack places, and they had a couple gimmicks where they tried to trick him, and he saw it. So he did some good things, but he can improve a lot. We think he's a good player. He's going to give us some skill set that maybe we can use some other places on our defense, and hope he continues to work really hard and grow.
Kirby, what needs to happen for the pass rush to get better, and how much of it was pass rush in the other game, and how much was just Simpson getting the ball out quickly on a lot of plays?
Yeah, it was a great balance. I mean, that's the part of the game that you look back on, and I go, you know what? We executed at a high level. Like, we did not have a lack of execution on third down. We had one where we checked and they checked and we checked and they checked, and we didn't quite get lined up right. But it was a front issue, not a coverage issue. And when you play in the home environment, you go back and say, okay, is there a lack of execution? No, there wasn't a lack of execution. There was really good execution in a high-level quarterback play. Give him a lot of credit. Shake his hand and say he did a great job. The ball came out before some of our rush got there. One time we didn't have our rush lanes right. Quarterback took off the first third down of the game. You know, it's like you can't let them do that. You got to execute better in those situations. But some of it was really good quarterback play, really good timing, and give them credit, shake their hand, and go get better for the next one. So we got to find ways to affect the quarterback, but we had some in there that we executed and they out-executed.
Coach, over here, what's been the progression of Elo Mosi since he's gotten here, and just how has he kind of fared in the last couple of weeks in practice?
He's getting better each and every week. He's a guy that, was not here for spring like our other guys, and he continues to grow and get better. His greatest attribute is his speed and his athleticism. We got to be able to use that more and give Q some rest and continue to develop him. I think he knows that, and we got to find ways to get his skill set out there on the field.
Coach, I thought it was interesting that you brought up talking about how the players are feeling the hurt. How do you go about making sure they don't get too high on the highs and low on the lows, going from the Tennessee game to obviously this weekend?
It's called Kentucky. Right? Like, we got to go play a really good football team. So I'm not concerned about. I'm glad that they were affected and hurt. There's a lot of college football teams right now. They got teams that the kids don't care. Like, when people hurt, you usually get a better response, right? You get a better mechanism of buy-in or doubling down on something of knowing who I am and knowing what I've got to work on. So that part excites me to get to work today.
Coach, what did you learn about your team? What were some of the things that stood out to you from that game?
We can run the ball and we can stop the run. Two things that we struggled with last year. So we've got to continue to improve in those areas. We got to lean on those areas, but we got a lot of areas we got to get better at.
Kirby, a few self-inflicted wounds for the last week for Kentucky in the South Carolina game, but they ran the ball effectively when they held on to it. What have you seen out of Seth McGowan in terms of his ability to move the chains?
Physical. Their backs are physical. I mean, every time we play them, their offensive line, they have a defensive head coach, Coach Stoops, that believes in running the ball, and they have really good run schemes. And they have really big physical guys, and their backs match their O-line in terms of size, both backs.
Coach, obviously the running back room seems to have a different star every week. Obviously Nate had his fumble and didn't get back out there and get to carry the ball anymore. But what's kind of the expectation for him this week, and just what's the dynamic between him and Chauncey? Obviously those guys came in together, so.
Yeah, they love each other, man. Nate was the fact that Nate was cheering and happy for Chauncey shows what kind of culture we built here. He was pumped for him, and he was crushed for himself. He's upset and knows that he's got things he's got to work on. He's got to continue to improve at. Nate's not afraid of hard work. He's not afraid to go out there and get to work and improve, and we're going to continue to do that. Look, you don't get through this gauntlet of SEC games without having multiple backs and having guys ready, and I feel good about that room.
Yeah, back in the spring, you talked about the importance of having continuity and consistency on your coaching staff in terms of all 10 on-field assistants coming back, and I'm wondering how important was that, and how much of a factor was that, knowing that you were going to have a young team this year and leaning on those guys who had been in this coaching staff before to sort of help shepherd this team through?
I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that we got all the guys. I'm glad we have the continuity we have. I think it helps the offensive players and defensive players that returned, or maybe the ones that were here last year that didn't play, like a Q, guys that are playing a lot of reps that I call sophomores. I think that continuity really helps them. I think it helps new guys that transfer in terms of having a relationship with somebody. But we also made some really good additions. We've gotten great ideas and energy from guys that have been brought in, whether it's from the NFL ranks or college ranks, with Brumbaugh and some other guys. So I feel great about our staff.
Yeah, Coach, I want to ask about Noah Thomas, just the progress you've seen him make and what you're seeing out of him in practice.
Noah's been great, man. Noah's another guy that is a culture winner for us. I mean, he competes so hard. He starts on the special teams. He rolls in and plays sometimes with Colby, but at the same position as Colby. And he hasn't gotten some of the breaks that Colby has in terms of when he's in the game, but he has a lot of the same similarities. We've had 2 or 3 shots that early in the year he would have hit, and he was wide open, but we had protection breakdowns. It just hadn't happened, and he hasn't pressed because of it. All he does is, what do we need to do to get better, Coach? Tell me what we need to do to get better. What do I need to do to get better? And he continues to grow and buy into that. And when you have that kind of culture, it helps you win.
Coach, Kyron Jones is quietly putting up big numbers, second leading tackler 2 weeks in a row. What are you seeing out of him on the film after the games?
Some good and some bad. Physicality has been good. That's why he's playing. He's thick. He thumps when he hits. You know, like he has knockback tackles, and he plays physical, which is really important in that position, because you're going to get caught in positions where you got to run and cover, and you're going to get caught where you got to go tackle jam or a big back like Seth, and you're like, ooh. But he's been able to do those. I need him to play with some more consistency in terms of eye control, and he knows that. He knows. I mean, that's right now why he's playing that other safety spot, is he's played more physical and tackled well, and we need to keep growing him. I mean, we need to keep getting him better.
Yeah, the other night you mentioned there were some guys that were pretty vocal in the locker room at halftime. Just how much does a loss kind of further develop the leadership of a young team like this? And what do you anticipate seeing from those guys, the guys that are stepping up as leaders on the practice field this week?
Well, just be themselves. I don't see it any different than any week. I mean, our leaders lead, and our team follows the leadership of this team, and it's been great so far. I don't expect it to change any.
Kirby, I want to ask you about Zachariah Branch. He had obviously a really big run from under your goalpost, got you 10 yards out of position, made a third down catch, and made your traffic. How much differently are teams playing him, and what is like you said, you drew a line between execution and play call. How do you draw a line between taking what the defense gives you and making sure that you keep getting Branch the ball even with extra attention?
It's important he touches the ball. I don't really know how to answer that question, because I don't really fully understand the question. Our defense is changing how they play us. I think it's hard because he's all over the place. You know, he's outside one time, he's inside one time, he's in motion one time, he gets handed the ball one time, he gets a screen one time. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to move him around, and I think our offensive staff has done a tremendous job of trying to find ways to get him touches. It's important to keep his durability up. He's a punt returner, he's a kickoff returner, and he's a touch guy. And so we got to be smart about how we get him the ball, when we get him the ball, and he's got to take advantage of those. You know, there's probably some missed ops for him too in the game that he has, that he's got to capitalize on every opportunity he gets, because he is an explosive player.
Haven't had the time to go back and watch the film. How did you evaluate what you saw from Bo, from Juan, from Dontrell, just those young guys on Saturday?
Growing up. You know, they all three have not played much. They're all three improving. They're very different. I mean, in terms of Juan and Bo, you couldn't get two more different guys. But there's a couple critical mistakes. Really, you know, the 4th and 1 was a deal where they didn't line up right. They're completely bust. We're going to walk in the end zone with the play call we got, and we just have a guy not block a guy that he's supposed to block. But outside of some of that, they did a lot of good things, and that's why I'm pleased and promised by, like, okay, went into the game not knowing about the right tackle position, came out of the game going, both guys, I mean, they did some good things. So I'm pleased with where it's headed if they continue to get better.
coming off a tough loss against and playing this week against Kentucky, a team that is not of the same prestige of Alabama, do you worry either from an atmosphere standpoint or with your own team's standpoint with a noon kickoff of it being maybe perhaps a sleepy start?
I worry about everything. I worry about everything. If you know me, I worry about everything.
Kirby, Mark Stoops was already in the SEC coaching meetings when you got here at Georgia. You know, he's in his 13th season. What do you make of that longevity?
Man, it's amazing. Mark's one of my close friends. We've grown because we've been in it the longest together, and he's been in it longer than me, and I text him all the time. It's just really amazing what he's done at Kentucky, and, you know, it's one of those things that I hope they appreciate what he's done, because he's you know, done some incredible things, broken some records up there, been extremely competitive in our league, and that's not necessarily by record. I mean, it is by record sometimes, but the games that he's been in and the way they played is incredible. You can tell he inspires his team to play extremely hard, and they're always physical. So I just have so much respect for Mark because of I know his history. We kind of grew up the same way. Coach's son, defense coordinator, been some good places, got a head job, and he's worked his tail off.
I know you touched on this a little bit on Saturday, but last year you guys lose to Alabama but are still able to win the SEC and get to the college football playoff. What lessons from that run you guys went on last year are applicable to this team, knowing it's a different set of guys?
Different year, different season. I mean, I think what's applicable is that college football teams are going to have parity. Teams are going to play. So what's going to separate teams is how they either fracture or don't fracture, or how their infrastructure is built to sustain losses. And we're built for this. Like, we have infrastructure, we have plans, we know the pathway. So, I'm excited to see where this team goes.
Coach, obviously this week I think the time of possession was about 10 minutes difference. And you guys have talked about starting fast, especially defensively, but going 3 and out on the first series of last game. How does that impact the entire game when you get the ball early and then don't get it back for 5-10 minutes sometimes with just with the way Alabama played, but then also the way Kentucky plays, just running football?
Yeah, how does it impact the game? Well, it impacts the first 5 minutes of it. The next 5 minutes are based on those 5 minutes, and then the next 5 minutes are based on those 5 minutes. Do you want to start fast? Absolutely. Do you want to start with a 3 and out on defense? Hell yeah. Do you want to start with a 3 and out on offense? Hell no. But, like, it is what it is. Like, how do you do it better? Maybe we change something up. Maybe we do something different. I mean, but at the end of the day, I'm very confident in who we are. Like, the week before on offense, we drove down and scored. You know, the 2 weeks prior on defense, it was bang, 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 out, out, out. We didn't even play 50 snaps. You know, opponents weren't great, but we've done it both ways. So I don't get caught up in that. I get caught up in process over results.
One more question.
You mentioned the physicality of this matchup and how both teams like to run the ball. From your observations, when did you notice Kentucky making that a core philosophy?
Since their head coach was Mark Stoops.
Thanks, Coach.